What if I told you women don't fall in love with words? They don't fall in love with looks either. They fall by instinct, the kind even they can't control. There are men who haunt a woman's mind for days without her knowing why. And if you don't understand that, you're playing a game where you don't know the rules. Today, I'll show you 9 hidden psychological weak spots in a woman's mind, triggers that pull her toward you without her even realizing it. Some of these are backed by science, behavioral studies, neuroscience, like the 0.1 second biological response women have to certain male archetypes. Princeton Neuroscience Institute, 2008. But number 4, that's what makes her feel like you're unlike any man she's ever met. And number 7, it's why 90% of men lose control when everything seems to be going just fine. You've got just a few seconds to decide. Turn this video off and keep guessing like every other guy. Or stay just 5 minutes and finally understand what almost no one ever taught you. If you're clear-headed enough to realize that women aren't the problem, you are the solution, then hit subscribe. Because what's coming next won't just make you magnetic to women, it'll make you dangerous in the way a real man is meant to be. 1. Women are drawn to what's rare. Have you ever noticed this? When you text her constantly, you're always online, always quick to reply. She responds, but just politely, just enough. But the moment you go quiet for a few days, disappear off the radar, she suddenly starts liking your old stories, checking in, showing interest again. Sounds familiar? It's not random, it's instinct. All of us, men or women, crave what's slipping out of reach. According to Robert Cialdini, renowned psychologist and author of Influence, the scarcity effect is one of the most powerful forces in shaping human behavior. The less available something is, the more valuable it becomes. Now think about you. Are you like a free cup of iced tea handed out on the street, or a vintage bottle of wine only opened on rare, worthy occasions? Are you always around, or are you selective? Do you reply immediately, or only when you actually have time? If you're always available, always present, always too accommodating, you're putting yourself in the category of easily owned, and therefore not worth keeping. Here's what many men don't understand. Women aren't attracted to men who overplease. They're drawn to the man who can walk away anytime, but chooses to stay. Read that again. Chooses to stay, not needs to. The Journal of Experimental Social Psychology published research showing people are more attracted to those they're unsure actually like them. Ambiguity triggers the imagination and leads to obsession. In other words, when your presence is limited, you create curiosity. She'll start wondering, asking questions, and trying to regain control. And whoever tries to control emotions first usually loses. But don't get this wrong. Scarcity isn't about being cold, playing games, or acting passive-aggressive. Scarcity is about having standards. You value your time. You don't react emotionally. You don't need others to constantly please you. And you don't try to fit everyone's expectations. You don't say you're different. You simply aren't available. And women, they sense it, like you've got a world of your own they want to step into, but can't easily access. But here's the part you need to remember. Scarcity only has power when you actually have self-control. If on the outside you look composed, rare, high value, but inside you're quick to anger, reactive, and easily thrown off balance, she'll see it. And when that happens, the mystery you've built quickly becomes emotional instability. Yes, women might be attracted to distance, but they only stay for the man who brings them peace. And to do that, you don't need to control others. You need to master yourself. That's where real presence comes from. And that's exactly what most men today haven't learned yet. We'll talk about that next. 2. Women react strongly to men who can regulate their emotions. It's not about money. It's not about looks. It's not six-pack abs, a Rolex watch, or a 5-story townhouse. What pulls a woman toward a man, what makes her feel safe, even when no words are spoken, is his inner calm. It's how you respond when things don't go your way. You might think, I stay quiet, I don't do anything. That's emotional control. That's just suppression. Real control is when you acknowledge your anger, but don't let it drive you. And it's in that exact moment that a woman senses your true strength. According to Harvard Medical School, men who regulate their emotions well are seen as stable, mature, and long-term attractive. Why? Because no matter how independent she is, a woman is still an emotional being, and emotion seeks stability. Most men don't lose a woman because they're cruel. They lose her because they couldn't stay grounded when it mattered most. One harsh word, one impulsive reaction, one ego flare-up that lasts just seconds can ruin everything you spent months building. So don't overcompensate, don't perform, just hold your center. When she tests you with sharp words, with emotional storms, you don't need to preach. You don't need to walk away. Just stand your ground. Look her in the eye. Stay still, like a calm lake in the middle of a storm. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." A Stoic man doesn't chase his emotions. He sees them. He observes them. He lets them pass. And in a world addicted to drama, impulse, and instant reaction, the man who stays in control stands apart. You don't need to control her. You need to control yourself. Because when you do, you don't need to prove your value. You are the value. But you may wonder, if I'm always calm, do I risk coming off as cold, detached? Not if you have one thing, a clear mission, a direction bigger than the relationship itself, a purpose that keeps you grounded when others try to pull you off course. And that is what draws a woman in, as if she has no choice. 3. Women are drawn to men with a mission. A man without a mission is like a ship without a rudder. He drifts through emotions, reacts to circumstances, and eventually loses direction in his own life. Sounds abstract? Maybe. But women can sense it from the very first interaction. You think women want love, care, attention? Sure, partly. But what truly draws them in is not how much a man loves them. It's where he's going, and whether she's valuable enough to walk beside him. A man with a mission is someone living with clear intent. Not just a job, not just chasing money, but a sense of purpose that drives him each day, even when no one is watching. Book Dr. David Buss, one of the world's top evolutionary psychologists, writes in The Evolution of Desire that women are instinctively drawn to men who demonstrate long-term direction and drive. Why? Because it signals biological stability, survival ability, and lasting influence. Women may not say it out loud, but they can always sense when a man has lost his direction. You don't have to complain. You don't have to say, "I feel lost." If you lack focus, lack progress, lack clarity in your daily behavior, they feel it, and instantly your attractiveness drops. That's why so many relationships fall apart, not because of betrayal, but because the man stopped becoming the future version of himself. Modern men lose their way because they build their lives around the woman instead of around a mission. When you love a woman more than your own direction, you begin bending yourself just to please her. You respond to her emotions, you lose boundaries, you lose your center, you lose the very magnetism that drew her to you in the first place. A man with a mission does not orbit around love. He doesn't love to complete himself. He completes himself, then chooses to love. And paradoxically, that's what makes a woman want to work to earn her place beside him. You wonder why women fall for the busy, driven, focused men? It's not about status, it's about energy. They're not emotionally reactive. They lead. They don't prove their worth to women because they're proving it to themselves every single day. And you don't have to say a word. She sees it in how you walk, in your gaze, in your focus, in how you're not distracted by the temporary and the trivial. A man with a mission doesn't need to be wildly successful yet, but as long as he's moving forward, he already stands apart from 90% of the crowd. He has a spine. He has direction. He's not easily swayed by praise, pressure, or impatience. He's stable, grounded, calm, and it's that very sense of stability that women long to stand beside in a world that's constantly spinning out of control. 4. Women crave energetic stability. Women may be attracted to looks, drawn to intelligence, mesmerized by success. But what makes them want to stay is something rarely talked about: energetic stability. Not the kind where you're just nice, don't get jealous, or never raise your voice. We're not talking about a pleasant attitude. This is the energy field you carry, even when you don't say a word. Have you ever met someone who walks into a room and nobody turns their head, but everyone somehow feels their presence? That's energetic stability, a steady vibration, not rushed, not pulled into drama. A man whose presence tells a woman, "I can let my guard down around him." Why does it matter? Because most women live with emotional fluctuation. They can feel joy, then sadness, then doubt, then impulse, all within a single afternoon. It's not wrong. It's how the female brain functions, constantly processing emotional cues from the environment. According to the American Psychological Association, women experience emotional variability 2 to 3 times more than men on a daily basis, especially in intimate relationships. And that's why they don't look for a man who mirrors every emotion they have. They look for a man who isn't pulled into it. No judgment, no reactive behavior, no emotional spirals. Just a steady presence, like a rooted tree in a storm. You've seen this before. She sends a short, distant message. You get irritated. You want to text back. What's wrong? Why are you acting like this? But the more you chase clarity, the more she retreats. The more you need answers, the more drained the connection feels. But if you remain calm, stay focused on your work, and avoid reacting too quickly, you keep the rhythm. She'll come back to it. Many men think they're stable, until one scene but no reply ruins their entire night's sleep. Real stability doesn't live in appearances. It shows in how you stay grounded when every emotional signal around you is in chaos. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Be like the cliff against which the waves continually break, but it stands firm and tames the fury of the water." As a man, you don't need to fight the waves. You just need to stand firm, and that is what makes you irreplaceable. Women won't always say this, but when your presence alone makes her feel, "I don't have to be strong right now. He's here. You've already won," without saying a word. But here's where many men ruin their advantage. They rush to demand explanations, overreact, or worse, talk too much, when sometimes your strongest move is silence. And that is what can pull her back, even if she's already walking away. 5. They fall for the right kind of silence. There's something that confuses women, unsettles them, and makes them think more than they plan to. It's not sweet words, not long messages. It's silence, but not the cold kind, not childish disappearance, not silence as escape. It's the right kind of silence, controlled, intentional, purposeful, the silence of a man who doesn't react instantly, who doesn't get pulled into someone else's emotions, and who feels no need to prove anything. Have you noticed? Women aren't drawn to the man who always has an answer. They're drawn to the one who makes them ask questions, and nothing triggers imagination like one simple thing: space. According to the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, people are more attracted to those who leave them unsure of where they stand. Ambiguity, in the right amount, activates curiosity, emotional recall, and attachment. In simpler words, when you stay silent at the right moment, she ends up talking to herself. Let's be real. You've seen this before. She starts texting short, dry, distant. You feel something's off, and your instinct wants to ask, "What's wrong? Did I do something?" Please don't go quiet like that. But the more you chase, the more she pulls back. The more you demand clarity, the more she sees you losing your center. What if instead, you just pause? No panic, no overthinking, no begging for answers. You just notice, put the phone down, and continue your day as planned. No anger, no guilt, no games. That's silence with purpose, like the space between two notes in a song. It doesn't make a sound, but it defines the music. You don't need words to hold presence. Sometimes silence is what makes her listen most. Epictetus said, "Only the educated are free." True freedom isn't in saying more. It's in choosing not to react when your instincts are screaming to. But silence only holds power when it comes from a centered man. Not silence as punishment, not silence from ego, but silence from wisdom. The kind that says, not everything deserves a reaction. And sometimes silence is the most powerful response. And when a woman starts asking herself, why isn't he saying anything? Why didn't he try to stop me? Why is he still calm? That's when your presence says more than any words could. But that silence must be paired with one more thing: the strength to walk away when it's time. Because if you know when to hold back, you should also know when to let go. And that is what makes a man not just attractive, but deeply respected. 6. They respect men who know how to walk away. There's a kind of man who makes it impossible for a woman to control her emotions. Not because he's cold, not because he plays games or creates distance, but because he knows he can walk away if he needs to, and that makes him dangerous. It sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it? How can the ability to walk away make someone more attractive? Because the man who knows how to walk is not someone who lacks love. He's someone who has standards, boundaries, principles. He doesn't stay just because he's too deep in. He doesn't hold on just because it's been a long time. He stays because he chooses to, and he's willing to leave the moment the relationship starts to violate his values. According to Dr. Jordan Peterson, one of the traits of a mature man is his ability to face loss in order to protect his core integrity. A relationship without boundaries isn't love, it's dependency, and women feel that sooner than you think. You text her, she ignores it. You check in, she's cold. Most men either try harder, act overly understanding, or think patience is strength. But one day, you stop reacting. No anger, no accusations, no chasing. You just quietly pull your energy away from a place that no longer deserves it. The moment you walk away isn't when you stop loving. It's when you realize the price of staying is yourself. That clarity doesn't come from bitterness. It comes from something deeper: self-respect. The most dangerous man isn't the angry one. It's the one who can walk away, even while he still loves you. That's the kind of man a woman can't manipulate through emotion. Because he doesn't stay out of need, he stays by choice. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." And once you realize you have control over yourself, you understand something else. No one is worth losing your self-respect over. A man who can walk away isn't cold. He's conscious. He knows that holding on to the wrong thing is worse than losing the right one. And here's the paradox. When you're willing to leave, you become the one she actually wants to keep. Because women don't love the man who stays at all costs. They love the man who has every reason to leave, but still chooses to stay. But that kind of strength doesn't exist without clear boundaries. You can't say enough if you don't know where your line is. And that is something most men have never truly defined. 7. Women are soft for men with clear boundaries. Women won't always say it, but they constantly test you. Not because they want to manipulate, but because they want to know if you're truly a man, not biologically, but a man who has boundaries, standards, principles. Because if you don't know what's acceptable and what's not, you'll be swept away by someone else's emotions. And to a woman, that's deeply unattractive. The more easily you forgive, the more unconditionally you understand her, the more you let things slide, the more you'll be tested over and over again. According to Matthew Hussey, a renowned relationship psychologist, when a man doesn't set boundaries from the start, the relationship falls into a cycle of testing, reacting, and eventually losing control. Women don't consciously try to control you, but they'll unconsciously keep testing until the moment you stand up and say, no. And in that moment, you become dangerous. A real-world example. She cancels your date at the last minute for the 3rd time. You swallow it. You smile and say, it's okay as long as you're happy. But deep down, you know you're forcing yourself not to lose her. Now imagine this instead. You respond calmly. I understand if you're busy, but if this keeps happening, I don't think we're really prioritizing each other the way we thought. No anger, just clarity, and instantly the energy shifts. Women don't respect you for being agreeable. They respect you for holding the line, even when they don't like it. Boundaries are like invisible fences around you. Those who respect you will stop before crossing. Those who don't will run headfirst into the consequences. You don't need to raise your voice. Just hold the frame, and people will adjust how they approach you. A man with clear boundaries doesn't get manipulated by silence, mood swings, or tears, because he knows anyone who crosses the line will face the outcome. No threats, no mind games. Just the quiet certainty that you're ready to walk away when the rules stop being fair. Epictetus once said, "A man is not worried by real problems so much as by his imagined anxieties." When you're no longer afraid to lose, you begin to take full control of how you allow yourself to be treated, and that's when women change how they see you completely. They stop testing you, because they know you've already tested them through your boundaries. When a woman sees that you hold the line, she stops seeing you as an option and starts seeing you as a standard. Women aren't soft for tough men. They're soft for men who don't negotiate their values, even when they're in love. But strength doesn't only lie in what you say, it lies in how you say it. And sometimes just your steady, grounded tone is enough for her to feel the difference. 8. Women are drawn to a calm, grounded voice. Some men don't say much. They're not particularly eloquent, not especially funny. But every time they speak, women look up, go quiet, and start to listen. Not because their voice is beautiful, but because it's deep, grounded, unrushed, unshaken. A man's voice reflects his inner state, and women, though they can't explain it, feel that instantly. The less control you have inside, the more your voice trembles. It wavers. It shifts with every emotion. But when you're stable, when you live slow and calm, your voice carries weight. It makes her want to stay silent, just to hear more. A study from the University of Aberdeen found women are more attracted to men with deep, steady, slow-paced voices, not just biologically, but because the brain reads that voice as confidence, as emotional control. Everyday example, but powerful. She asks, "Are you upset?" The ungrounded man says, "No, I'm fine. Really, I swear." But the grounded man looks her in the eye and answers slowly, "Yes, but I don't let it control me." No more words needed. That voice makes her believe. You don't need to speak often to be remembered. You just need her to listen. Every time you do, a calm voice says, "I'm not trying to prove anything. I don't need to fill the silence. I allow it because I own the space." A deep voice is like soft background music. You don't notice it until it stops, and suddenly you miss it. Women won't say, "I like him because of his voice." They'll just feel lighter around you, safe, still, and they'll remember. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Whatever's inside you shows up everywhere, in your eyes, your body, and your voice. A grounded man doesn't just speak with his mouth, he speaks with his presence. And the strange thing is, women hear that even when you say nothing, because what she remembers most isn't your words, it's the peace your voice leaves behind, like a quiet reminder. There's a man here, in no rush, nothing to prove. But even more powerful than a calm voice is when she can't read what's on your mind. And that's why mystery in a man will always hold her gaze. 9. They can't resist mystery. You don't need to be handsome. You don't need to be rich. You don't need to talk much or make her laugh every day. You just need one thing. No one really knows what you're thinking. It sounds simple, but mystery is one of the strongest emotional and biological triggers for women, because the human brain, especially a woman's, hates certainty. The less they know, the more curious they become. The more curious they are, the more they think. And the more they think about you, the deeper you stay in their mind. A study from the Journal of Psychological Science found women feel more attracted to men when they're unsure if the man likes them or not. That uncertainty sparks imagination and builds stronger emotional bonds. A real-life example. You meet her. You speak calmly. You don't overshare. She asks, "Have you ever loved someone deeply?" You don't dodge, but you don't answer right away either. You just smile and say, "I have. But that's something I'll share when it truly matters." Then you change the topic. No awkwardness, no oversharing. And hours later, she's still thinking about that moment. Women don't remember the ones who told them everything. They remember the ones who made them imagine what was left unsaid. You don't have to be silent, but you also don't have to reveal it all. A man with depth knows how to keep a part of himself to himself. Mystery isn't secrecy, it's the art of holding back and letting others discover what matters. A book you understand after one read rarely stays on the shelf, but one that makes you reread each page stays with you forever. You don't need to be unpredictable on purpose. You just need to stop rushing to be understood. Because if everyone figures you out instantly, what's left to explore? Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul remains hidden until it must speak." A mature man doesn't reveal himself constantly to prove he matters. He reveals himself at the right time, to the right person, for the right reason. Women can't resist mystery because it calls out to their instinct to chase, to wonder, to feel. And in a world where everyone overshares, the man who holds something back becomes unforgettable. True attraction doesn't come from what you give away right away, but from what you hold back just enough to make them crave more. The true value of an attractive man. You might have the looks, you might have money, you might speak well, live well, and work hard. But if you don't understand the 9 subtle emotional triggers deep in a woman's psychology, you're playing an emotional game where you're always reacting, never leading, not because you're lacking, but because you haven't learned how to wield your own strength and depth. A truly attractive man isn't someone every woman chases. He's the man who makes a woman naturally adjust herself, just because of his presence. And the best part, you don't need to become someone else. You just need to know where you're going. Master your emotions. Stay silent when needed. Set clear boundaries. And remain calm without trying to prove anything. As Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." If this video stirred something in you, that's your sign. You're ready to step into a higher version of yourself. Leave a comment. I'm ready. Not for me, for yourself. Hit subscribe, because from here on out, these videos won't be about how to attract women. They'll be about how to become the man they'll never forget. And if you know someone who needs this, share this video with him, because sometimes one sentence said at the right time can shift the course of an entire life. Thanks for staying until the end. I'll see you in the next one.